So before diving into the performance and analyzing tools, let's have a look at what performance parameters you should look at. So the definition of performance really depends on what you expect from a system. And typically there are different points of view. You could look at low latency, for example, which is typically for database load. Or you could look at high throughput, which is typical for file server load. To judge performance, you also need a clear definition of the performance level agreements, which means that you should know for sure what exactly is expected. So make it clear to anyone. So not generic load should be below 60% because that doesn't say anything. But the web server should always react within 10 seconds. That is what your users really care about. So first you need to decide which metrics to measure, and next you can start collecting baselining data and monitoring your systems. So the typical performance focus areas, first is memory. And memory is the single most important factor in overall server performance, because if you don't have enough memory, your disk will suffer, your I/O performance will suffer, your network will suffer as well. So make sure that memory is okay. Next, you'll have a look at disk. Disk is a very important factor as well in overall server performance, because if your disk is slow, there will be too much memory that is wasted to buffer data that still has to be written to disk, and you don't want to go there. Next, there is network. Network in general is not the most important source of problems. That is because we are not using 10 megabit anymore, we're on gigabit at least. Also, the CPU. CPU has many tunables, but in general it's not very important. It is only for specific workloads that CPU really matters, and the gain that you can get from optimizing CPU performance, it's expressed in nanoseconds. So you won't probably see much of a result by optimizing the CPU. Now, to monitor performance, there are some common performance monitoring tools. First of them, TOP. TOP is a very basic tool, but also a very rich tool. And it provides an excellent generic overview of everything your system is doing. So TOP, when I do performance analyzing, TOP is always the first utility I am using. And if from TOP I find a specific problem, I go look somewhere else. For example, at I/O stat, which shows statistics about I/O. And if you're at I/O stat, if you need to find out which particular process is creating a high load on I/O, you can use I/O top as well. I will show you both of those utilities. Then we have VMstat, which shows virtual memory statistics. It's a very rich utility that you can use to get detailed information about what your system is doing. And then we have SAR, the System Activity Reporter, which is an excellent utility if you need long-term data about what your server has been doing.